I need to talk about this. I'm sitting here in my perfectly curated living room, surrounded by all the beauty I painstakingly created, and everything feels utterly unreal. My life, my future, everything I thought I had built. It's just gone. And everyone's looking at me with pity or worse with that uncomfortable knowing look. But they don't understand. They couldn't possibly. They don't know what it's like to strive for perfection, to pour your soul into elevating your life, only to have it all crumble, supposedly by your own hand. It's beyond unfair. My name is Clara, and Daniel, he was my husband. We'd been married for 7 years. 7 years of building what I genuinely believed was a beautiful, refined existence. Daniel is, on paper, the ideal partner. He's a software engineer brilliant in his field, meticulously organized and unfailingly reliable. He built us this stunning modern home overlooking the city, the kind you see featured in exclusive design magazines. He managed our investments, ensured every bill was paid on time, remembered anniversaries, and was outwardly the definition of a good husband. The kind people envy, the kind my own mother always sighed about, wishing her own marriage had been as solid. But good can also mean comfortable. Too comfortable. Our life together had settled into a predictable waltz of routines. His early morning coding sessions, his meticulous meal prep, our quiet evenings watching documentaries about historical events or complex algorithms. His conversations revolved around debugging code, software architecture, and the endless minutiae of his projects. When I tried to inject some spontaneity, some life, suggest a last-minute flight to a charming European city, or a wild, uninhibited evening out, he'd always have a reason. The budget, Clara, we have those long-term savings goals. Or, I have that early stand-up meeting, darling. Or, I'm just so tired, honey, my brain is fried from work. Always tired. Always busy. Always prioritizing his structured, controlled world over my vibrant, desperate needs. He saw my desires as frivolous distractions from his grand plan for our secure future, our optimized life. He even color-coded his laundry, for goodness sake. Color-coded. It was a system. A meticulous, stifling system. I felt like I was slowly suffocating, a vibrant flower wilting in perfectly fertile, yet utterly lifeless soil. I am a woman who thrives on energy, on laughter, on vibrant connection, on feeling adored, elegant, and stimulated. Daniel's affection had become routine, almost perfunctory. A pat on the head, a polite kiss goodnight. The passion we once had, the undeniable spark that drew us together in those exhilarating early days, had long since been replaced by a comfortable, quiet companionship. And comfortable can be a killer of the soul, especially when you're in your late 20s, watching other people live wildly, adventurously, passionately. I'd look at him across the dinner table, perfectly composed, impeccably dressed in his casual, yet structured tech bro attire, and feel nothing. Just a vast, aching emptiness, a profound sense of unfulfillment, punctuated by the faint click of his mechanical keyboard as he checked work emails during dinner. I believed it was my responsibility as his wife to help him grow, to elevate him. He was a diamond in the rough, a good man who simply needed polishing. I saw his potential even if he didn't. His wardrobe was too safe, his hobbies too solitary, his conversations too technical. He needed to be introduced to the finer things, to a more expansive view of the world. And I was the one to do it. Every suggestion, every critique, every helpful tip was for his own good. It was love, really. A tough love perhaps, but love nonetheless. So I started small. Daniel, darling, I'd say gently, that tie really doesn't compliment your eyes. I saw this gorgeous silk one at the boutique. It would truly elevate your look. Or, wouldn't it be wonderful if we hosted more soirees? Your colleagues would enjoy it. And it's so important for networking beyond the office. He would nod, usually compliant, sometimes with a faint, bewildered frown, but he'd mostly go along with it. His quirks, which I initially found endearing, slowly became magnified into intolerable eccentricities as my own standards rose. His meticulousness, which was once responsible, became obsessive. His quiet nature, once thoughtful, became boring. His unwavering patience, once a comfort, became a sign of his utter lack of spirit. And the pressure cooker of my frustration had to find an outlet. That outlet inevitably was our social life. We had a small, close circle of friends, Sophia and Liam, who were always up for a laugh, and Marcus and Diana, a couple who truly understood the subtle absurdities of marriage. Our dinner parties, our brunches, our casual get-togethers. These were my stage. This was where I could finally, truly, express it all, disguised as witty anecdotes and harmless marital banter. "You guys," I'd say, usually after a few glasses of Sauvignon Blanc, my voice light, a knowing smile playing on my lips. "Guess what exciting thing Daniel did today? He optimized our household energy consumption spreadsheet. He literally spent an hour showing me pie charts of our electricity use. I swear he talks to the kilowatt hours more than he talks to me." Sophia would laugh and Liam would shake his head, a wry grin on his face. "Oh, Daniel," Liam would chuckle. "Always the engineer." Marcus would add, "At least he's productive." Diana's been trying to get me to organize my sock drawer for months, and I haven't even looked at it. We'd spiral from there. It wasn't mean-spirited, not really. Not in our minds. It was just funny. It was honest. It was our truth. It was a place where I could say the things I couldn't say to Daniel's face because he was sensitive, because he'd get that wounded puppy dog look, and then I'd be the bad guy. He was too fragile for direct criticism, so this was the only way. It was therapy for me. A necessary release. We mocked everything. His quiet hum when he concentrated. His habit of organizing his books by publication date instead of genre. His overly enthusiastic explanations of the technical specifications of our smart home devices. His perfectly ironed, slightly too tight polo shirts. His incredibly detailed budgeting spreadsheets, complete with pie charts for entertainment spending, that were almost entirely empty. His choice of bland, unadventurous vacation destinations. His attempts at being romantic, which always felt choreographed and passionless, like a formula he derived from a textbook. He'd even bring me the same brand of bland supermarket flowers every time. Every single time. I remember one particularly hilarious thread from a brunch. I just shared a story about Daniel insisting on calculating the precise optimal angle for our new painting to hang. He literally brought out a protractor, people. I'd exclaimed, feigning exasperation. A protractor for a painting? I swear, the man lives by the laws of physics, not human emotion. Sophia had nearly choked on her mimosa. Liam, Michael's best friend, who was also Ben's colleague, and always seemed to have a soft spot for Daniel, looked a bit uncomfortable but still chuckled. "Honestly," I'd continued, emboldened by their laughter, "sometimes I think he loves his smart home devices more than he loves me. He treats them with more reverence. He calls his server cabinet the brain. I swear I'm the appendix. Useless and prone to bursting. It was cathartic. It was harmless. It was just us, sharing the ridiculous realities of married life, letting off steam about the mundane absurdities of our relationships. Daniel never suspected. He was too trusting, too absorbed in his own quiet world, too naive to imagine his wife might actually have desires beyond his steady, predictable presence, or too self-absorbed in his own meticulously optimized life to notice the subtle seismic shifts in mine. He was a good man, yes, but he was a perfectly flat, perfectly unexciting road. And I was driving nowhere fast. My behavior around him started to reflect my true feelings, though I didn't realize it at the time. I stopped trying to initiate conversation. I often wore headphones even when he was in the room, ostensibly listening to podcasts but really just tuning him out. My responses became clipped, my smiles forced. I was living for these social gatherings, for the moments with Sophia and Liam, Marcus and Diana, where I felt truly understood, truly seen. He'd occasionally try to connect. "Everything all right, Clara? You seem a little distant lately." I just sighed dramatically. "Just tired, Daniel. Long day. Adulting is exhausting." He'd nod, sympathetic. Never pushing, never probing. He was so easily convinced, so easily placated. The changes in me were subtle, yet evident, though I thought I was disguising them well. My clothes became a little bolder, my makeup a little more dramatic, a touch of defiance in my everyday. My conversations were sharper, more cynical, especially when discussing relationships and the general dullness of urban life. My friends knew what was going on, of course. They were my ride or dies. But other friends, particularly Liam, who saw both of us frequently, started to pick up on it. "You're different, Clara," he once said, his brow furrowed, a thoughtful look in his eyes. "More sharp. Is Daniel okay? He seems a bit withdrawn lately." I just waved it off. "Oh, you know Daniel. Always in his head. Just his engineer thing. Nothing new." Liam didn't look convinced. His gaze lingered for a moment on my face, then on Daniel, who was, predictably, adjusting the thermostat, ensuring optimal temperature. The pressure cooker of my resentment was building. It was exhilarating to vent, but it was also exhausting to constantly maintain the facade of the loving wife while secretly fuming. I had to be so careful. My phone was a constant companion, its screen carefully guarded. I cleared browser history religiously, knowing Daniel understood data. I didn't want to leave any digital footprints. I was convinced of my cleverness, my ability to manage this delicate dance. I was a master strategist, far more adept than Daniel and his boring logical tactics. Then came the slip-up. It was so stupid, so utterly idiotic, I still can't believe it happened. We were planning Daniel's surprise birthday party. I had created a shared online document, a collaborative spreadsheet for tasks and guest lists, because that's how Daniel liked to organize things. It was a joint document accessible to both of us. In my haste, while chatting with Sophia about Daniel's utter lack of enthusiasm for any party planning, I typed a comment intended only for her. A long, exasperated rant about his beige soul, and how planning a party for him is like planning a funeral for fun. I meant to type it into a private message, but I was so frustrated, so caught up in the moment, that I typed it directly into a hidden comment on the shared birthday spreadsheet. A comment that was visible only if you clicked a tiny little icon. Comment I thought I'd delete later. A comment I completely forgot about. I didn't realize my mistake until weeks later. The party was planned. Daniel was oblivious, or at least he seemed to be. His quietness had intensified, his presence in the apartment becoming almost ghost-like. He was always in his study, late into the night, the faint glow of his monitors escaping under the door. I attributed it to a new project, a big deadline. I was too busy planning his perfect surprise party, too busy curating the guest list to include all my friends, the ones who truly appreciated my efforts. One quiet Tuesday evening, just a few days before the party, I found Daniel sitting on his perfectly organized sofa, staring at my laptop. My old laptop, which I rarely used anymore. His face was utterly blank. His posture was rigid. He wasn't watching a documentary. He was reading. Reading my spreadsheet. Reading my hidden comment. My stomach dropped. My breath hitched. "Daniel," I whispered, my voice barely audible, laced with a cold fear I'd never experienced. "What are you doing?" He slowly looked up. His eyes were not dull, not bewildered, not tired. They were cold, hard, like polished granite. There was no confusion, no apology, no weariness. Only an intense, chilling clarity. His grip on the laptop tightened. "I know, Clara," he said, his voice flat, emotionless, utterly devoid of any warmth I had ever known. "I know everything." My mind raced, frantically searching for an explanation, A plausible lie. Anything to make this nightmare disappear. No, what, Daniel? What are you talking about? I tried to feign confusion, innocence, but my voice trembled, a betrayal I couldn't control. He turned the laptop screen towards me. The glowing text filled the screen. My words. My contempt. My private thoughts about his beige soul, and the funeral for fun. I found it, Clara, he said, his voice a low, steady rumble, completely unlike his usual polite cadence. This. And it made me look closer. I've been looking closer for a while now. I've heard your jokes. I've seen the way you look at me. I felt the distance you've created. I've read your emails to your friends where you mock my hobbies, my career, my very existence. All of it. My face crumpled. Daniel, it's not what you think. It was just a joke. It was venting. Just harmless banter among friends. You were never around, you were always so busy, so dull. I needed to blow off steam. You pushed me away. Tears streamed down my face, genuine tears of fear, panic, and overwhelming self-pity. This was the ultimate injustice. Being caught like this, having my private thoughts exposed, being painted as the villain. He slowly stood, pushing his chair back. His movements were deliberate, unhurried. He was no longer the soft-spoken Daniel. He was something harder, colder. Venting, Clara? You called me the algorithm. You compared me to a broken calculator. You mocked my passions, my efforts, my very being. You shared intimate details of our life, our private moments, and turned them into cruel entertainment for your friends. This wasn't venting. This was calculated, consistent contempt. For years. He walked towards the sleek new briefcase I hadn't noticed by the door. I've been talking to a lawyer, Clara. For months. Since I started to notice how you changed, how your disdain for me grew, how you seemed to be glowing for reasons that weren't me. It started with subtle shifts in your texts, your guarded phone calls. Then the increasing emotional distance. I realized your tiredness was actually active avoidance. I began documenting every instance, every comment, every veiled insult. Like I do with all complex systems that are failing. He opened the briefcase. Inside, neatly stacked, were printouts. Transcripts of my emails. Dates, times, precise quotes. A meticulously built dossier of my disdain. These are the papers, Clara, he said, his voice flat, emotionless. My lawyer advises me that, with this evidence of your emotional cruelty and the irreparable damage to our relationship, I will be filing for divorce. You have until the end of the month to move your personal belongings out of this apartment. I will be retaining it. All shared accounts will be frozen, and then divided by my lawyer based on our contributions. There will be no further communication between us, beyond what's legally necessary through our representatives. My mind reeled. My head spun. The apartment? You can't be serious. This is my home too. I decorated it. I made it a home. You can't just take everything because of a few harmless jokes. It's not fair. I supported you. I endured your boringness. You can't just throw me out. He looked at me, a flicker of something cold in his eyes, a glint of the ruthless efficiency of the software engineer he was at work, now turned on me. You endured my boringness, Clara? I worked tirelessly every single day to provide the stability, the comfort, the financial security you claimed you wanted. I loved you. I supported you. I tried to be the partner you needed, even when you consistently made me feel like I wasn't enough, that my efforts were always insufficient. You found humor in my perceived flaws, in the very things that make me who I am. This isn't about a few harmless jokes, Clara. This is about years of emotional abuse, documented and now undeniable. He walked towards the front door. He had a small overnight bag by the entrance, packed and ready. This wasn't a sudden angry departure. This was planned, meticulous, just like his algorithms. You can't just leave. I screamed after him, scrambling off the sofa, utterly terrified. feeling a sudden raw animalistic panic. This isn't fair. This is my life. You're ruining my life. He paused, his hand on the doorknob. He turned his head slightly, and his voice was chillingly calm, utterly devoid of warmth or regret. No, Clara. You ruined it. I'm just cleaning up the code. And then he was gone. The click of the door echoed in the silent, too-perfect apartment, a final definitive sound sealing my fate. He didn't slam it. He didn't yell. He didn't even look back. He just left, calmly, definitively, leaving me utterly alone amidst the ruins of my self-made kingdom. Now I'm here alone, facing the reality of losing everything. Sophia, Liam, Marcus, Diana, they are all too shocked or too busy to talk. Their judgment palpable even through their polite texts. They're probably worried about their own partners finding out about their private conversations. My parents are disappointed and don't understand why I couldn't just be happy with what I had, or be more appreciative. Everyone is blaming me. Me, the one who was just trying to be authentic. The one who was just speaking her mind. The one who was just trying to inject some life into a dead-end marriage. It's not fair. How can a few harmless jokes, a little venting justify all of this? He's acting like I'm the monster, the manipulative one. But I was the one stuck with the emotionally unavailable, dull, predictable man who starved me of excitement and then weaponized my own search for understanding against me. I was the one who deserved more. I was the victim here. And now I'm paying for it. It's truly, utterly unjust. And I'm left to wonder, how did I, Clara, the vibrant, authentic woman, end up so utterly alone and wronged?